We send Michelle underground to see how trapped cavers are rescued.
In some parts here, it's getting really narrow.
And can you help police in the fight against courier fraud?
Now, this is the headquarters of the Derbyshire Cave Rescue Organisation. It's staffed entirely of volunteers who give up their spare time to help people who find themselves in trouble, often in some pretty unforgiving environments. I spent the day with them to find out what they get up to, or should I say, get down to. The Peak District National Park in central England is a dramatic and breathtaking landscape. And it's equally impressive below the surface.
The Peak District has some of the largest cave systems in the country, and when people talk about caving, a lot of the time they'll be thinking about the Peak District.
But it can be a treacherous environment, which is where the volunteers of the Derbyshire Cave Rescue Organisation come in.
All the things that can happen to you on the surface can happen underground. You can get lost, you can fall over, you can get ill, and if you do hurt yourself, getting you out of that situation can be quite a technical operation.
I'm joining the team on a training day to find out what that involves. We're heading to a local mine shaft where they'll simulate a rescue.
Okay, we're going to split into two teams. Now, I fiddled around with...
Alan Walker is an incident controller. He's in charge of today's rescue. So what's the scenario today then?
So the casualty has got a leg injury somewhere in this region in the centre of the mine. You can see it's a very extensive system.
Yeah.
We'll need to abseil down a vertical mine shaft to get into the cave system and then find the casualty and then transport them back through some quite narrow passages.
Time for me to get kitted up. In a real rescue, every minute counts.
If casualties trapped underground, they can very quickly become hypothermic. The water levels can rise and start to flood the caves as well, so it's really important we get there as quickly as we can.
And this is the hole we'll be going down. I didn't expect it to be quite so small. Now for the bit I've been dreading, the 18-metre descent below ground and down a very narrow mine shaft. Here goes. Gosh, it's getting darker the further down I go. And actually you can notice it's getting colder as well. If I look tense, it's because I am. I need to remember to breathe. I didn't realise we'd be coming quite so far down underground. I mean, this is amazing. Finding someone must be so difficult because apart from your little light, I mean, it's pitch black.
Exactly, yeah, and we've come down now into a chamber, but there's passages radiating off in all directions. You can't use GPS because they need satellites, which are up in the sky, high above the rock.
Yeah, we're way away from that.
We've got surveys and maps and compasses, but really it comes down to old school techniques, just shouting and listening for a response from the casualty.
Somewhere down here is today's casualty, Stuart. We just have to find him. So we keep going deeper into the underground passages, calling out to him as we go. Stuart! Stuart! In some parts here, it's getting really narrow, isn't it?
That's right. Some places are getting a little bit tight, and we're going through one in a moment.
Stuart! I'm having to pick my way very carefully. One false step, and I could become the casualty. Stuart, can you hear me? Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's him.
God, it's oh, Stuart.
Hello.
We found you.
Thank you for coming.
How are you doing?
Not too great.
Cooper, underground, can you confirm the injuries to the casualty? Over.
Broken left ankle, we believe. Over.
Cavers refer to caves as merciless environments, and they are. Life isn't sustainable down there for very long because you get cold and wet and hungry and tired, and we have to get you out.
Long periods of time.
We may have found Stuart, but now comes the really tough part, getting him onto the stretcher, then out of the cave.
Brace, lift.
But the passages are just so narrow that carrying him is impossible.
I'm ready. Yeah, okay. So just slide him along a bit further.
Instead, we have to slide him on our knees over the rough terrain.
It's a technique we practice quite a lot in very narrow passages, and just brace the stretcher and pass him from one person to another as a sort of chain. It's very physical work as well.
After a huge effort, we reach the base of the shaft, but it's not over yet. We still have to get our casualty to the surface. This is surely the hardest part, isn't it, Alan?
Yeah, it is, that's right. We've got a team of people up on the surface. They've rigged up a frame over the entrance with pulleys and ropes, so we get a mechanical advantage as we're hauling the casualty up through the narrow passages.
Slow on blue.
Hand pulling gives us a good feel of how the casualty's moving through the caves. And as often as we can, we have somebody climbing alongside the casualty just to reassure them, keep an eye on how they're getting on. We can bring him very carefully and slowly through lots of narrow shafts all the way to the surface.
It takes precise manoeuvring by the rope team to bring Stuart safely to the surface.
Stop everyone!
And that's my cue to join him.
We need to get you on the ropes, so shall we go and sort you out?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Going up. It's been a fascinating experience, but I won't lie, I can't wait to see daylight again. Yeah, I was very glad to see daylight again, but I've got to say, I've definitely got a newfound respect for the volunteers here and what they do. Mick Earle, who you saw in the film, is with me today. Hey, Mick.
Hi there, Michelle.
So you've got a training exercise going on this morning. What's this then?
This piece of kit is called the Larkin frame, and we use it for hauling a casualty out of a mine shaft or out of the entrance of a cave.
But this equipment looks pretty different to what we were using at the cave rescue.
It is. We'll use this piece of kit where we can't span the open top of a shaft, and we'll use it on the edge of a large hole or a quarry or a cliff edge.
So how many times do you have to use this? Are these kind of situations quite often?
Well, we'll use this any time that it's appropriate to use this piece of kit. Otherwise, we'll use that tripod that we used on the mine with you guys.
How often do you have to train for this then? Because it does look quite complex in skills with all the rope attachments and...
Yeah, you certainly don't want to get it wrong, so we train quite regularly, up to 2 or 3 times a month.
Yeah, and communication between everyone in the team, again, you know, if you're doing it in bad weather conditions or whatever, is really important.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll turn out whatever the weather. We have no control of when the call-outs happen.
No, but you're always there ready to go,
We
aren't
are
you, Mick?
always there ready to go.
Still with a smile on your face as well.
Absolutely, sun
Well,
shining.
thanks very much. Yeah, it's a lovely day today. A great piece of kit there. You've actually got a challenge for me as well in a little while, haven't you? Which is going to involve this great big thing here. So I'm going to get ready. Rav, I'll see you shortly.
Good luck with that, Michelle.
Right, it's time for me to be really put to the test now. We are 40 foot up in the air. I'm joined again by Mick, and we saw how you rescue people from caves earlier, but obviously in order to do that, you need to learn how to get in and out safely yourselves, don't you?
So cavers use a technique called SRT, single rope techniques. We will literally abseil down a single rope into the mine or the cave, and then we use special equipment to enable us to climb back out of the rope, out of the cave.
Now, I have to say, Mick, I kind of felt like being hoisted down into a mine shaft was scary enough. What have you got me doing today?
Well, what you're doing right now, Michelle, is you're going to abseil down the rope just the same as we do when we abseil into a mine shaft, but you're going to be doing it off this tower.
Okay, so this is a controlled descent, kind of the next stage in your training. So you're hooking me on. This is all nice and safe, isn't it,
Nice
Mick?
and safe.
Can be absolutely fine.
Okay, so the right hand, that is your brake and accelerator, so I'd like you to hold on to that nice and tightly. Left hand for the moment, just pop it on there. I would now just sit down in the harness, weight the harness, that's it.
Okey-dokey.
We've got a safety rope on you, you're perfectly safe.
Great
now
news.
just shuffle out and you're going to swing and turn round to face me.
Okay, oh man.
That's it.
Yeah.
Shuffle out, swing round,
my
swing,
gosh.
swing. That's it.
It's going to be all right, isn't
You're going to doing the scary bit.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Okay,
Just
feet
don't
nice
look
and
down.
wide apart.
Yeah,
Feet
yeah.
nice and wide
Is this
apart.
right?
That's right. Hold tight with your right hand.
Yeah.
Your left hand goes onto that handle. That's it. Just pull that back gently. As you pull it back, you'll start to go down.
That's it. And if
Okay.
you want to stop, just let go with your left hand.
So just keep going like
Just
this.
keep going like that. Well done, Michelle.
Thanks, Mick.
Absolutely brilliant. That's fine. You're going to twizzle around a
It's
bit.
twisting okay.
No, that's absolutely fine. That's what it does.
Oh my
Well done.
gosh.
Perfect abseiling.
This is very high up. I have to say, I've done a few abseils on this show, and I never get used to hanging off the side of a building. But this is going okay, I think. Ralph, I'll be glad to get down to the bottom here. Back to you.
Well done, Michelle. Now it's time for a look at today's Wanted Faces, and first is this man. This is